All right, this is a comment on the Officer Tatum's video, where he speaks about the white ASU students who were berated and forced out of the multicultural center. Not coincidentally, that is not just the way I phrase it, that is also the title of his video. So he's talking about these girls here and uh, the way in which they are going to experience life once they leave university. So we're just going to listen to a little bit of it, and then I'll give my commentary.
You can tout yourself around, and we need multicultural spaces. You get into the real world, nobody's going to hire you. You are a liability. I would never hire a person like this. Why?
So there you go. So again, that's very brief. He goes on to expand on this some more. But he is wrong on this. And he's right about the fact that he would never hire this person. Just like I would never hire this person. Just like millions of other people out there wouldn't hire these people. But I remember back when I was in high school and we sort of laugh about people going in and getting their stupid degrees in, dance theory or, you know, gender economics or whatever these stupid things were. We'd say, yeah, when they get out in the real world, then they're not going to be able to do anything. They're just going to be, baristas or whatever the case might be. At the time, we'd say McDonald's, right? Because I don't think baristas were really a term that anybody ever knew or used way back in the day. But here's the problem. They don't care about that, and that's not true because the jobs they're going for are not predominantly ones where they're in, oh, I'm going to get a job as a chemical engineer, or I'm going to get a job as a financial advisor, or I'm going to get a job as a stock day trader, or something like that. The jobs that these people will get will be ones in government bureaucracies, and they will be jobs in academia. So while me and my brethren and friends were all sitting back laughing at the people those decades ago, those people were reapplying, getting their degrees, and then reapplying at the very universities and colleges that gave them those degrees. They then got into positions of power at those universities, and they then got into the positions where they would make the next hires. And that is where they have started to control it because now the people that hired them said, these people may be quirky and they may be weird and may have kind of stupid ideas, but they're interesting intellectual debates to have. They're interesting intellectual challenges and arguments. And we can make an argument, even if it's not really a sound premise. The argument is interesting because we can sort of learn how to take different bits of information, different bits of evidence, put together a case and build it, and then we would argue these things out. And the people that hired these people, like her, the people that now run the show at a lot of these universities, they were interested in the debate. They were interested in the ideas. They were interested in the exchange of knowledge and sort of hashing things out to see if there was validity in these ideas. The people, though, that got in and now took over have zero interest in actually having these discussions and having these arguments and seeing if there's other ways to look at things. They are ideologues and they believe that their way is the only way. It is the only correct view to have. Everything else is hate speech. Everything else is something that is out there to attack them. That's why they call everything violence, because they see any kind of disagreement as a violent attack upon them. And violence is part of the way that they're changing speech. Whereas violence before had a very distinct meaning, now they say, oh, words are violence. It's not just actions, it's words. So, where he's saying nobody's going to hire you, no, that's not true. In fact, these people are going to get hired in very critical positions where they will then become policymakers. So they may not actually be out there in the capitalist world doing productive jobs that generate income and that create more jobs. They will go into the bureaucracy and they will create policies, and those policies will ultimately end up creating more laws and more regulations, which people will have to abide by, which is why we now see universities and we see businesses implementing plans where you must go to these gender training sessions or um, these racial training sessions where you have to basically be indoctrinated into certain language and certain ideas because these people are creating a situation where a business can now be sued and ultimately penalized into total non-existence if they do not abide by the regulations that people like this put into place. And that, I think, is where he's missing the point. It's where I missed the point along with my friends those decades ago. We saw it as people trying to use a degree to get a job in the business world, where they actually get out there and try to generate jobs and income. But they never wanted that. They never wanted to do that. They wanted to get those key positions of power, and they have gotten them. They've gotten the reins of power, and now they are molding society. So when he says you won't get hired, well, that might have been true 20 years ago, 20, 30 years ago. You wouldn't be hired by any self respecting university or any self respecting financial institution for that matter, because their job was to make money. Their job was to create products. Their job was to give services. Whatever the point of that business was, the point of the business was the point of the business. Now, these people have created a situation where there are tons of jobs for people with these useless, and I use useless in quotes, degrees, because now these degrees are not useless. They are actually very, very influential. And I think that that is where we have actually missed the boat. And the people on the right, and frankly, I think any reasonable thinking individual needs to understand what's going on behind the scenes. And it is a fundamental desire to reshape society through getting into those key positions. And it's only by folly that we keep believing that these degrees and these people will not get hired, because they will be hired. They will be in fairly invisible positions for the majority of society, but they will be in very key, fundamental positions as far as policy creation. And that is a very dangerous thing which must be fought hard against.